me tonight on the Newshour is Edward Price, a political economist who looks at and studies Trump very closely. Well, the whole world is doing that right now. But thank you very much for joining me, Mr. Price. And I want to begin by asking you, how do you look at the Trumpisms with respect to India in recent times? I want to ask you these questions on the global stage. The way Trump has slapped tariffs on India, the literally breaking point the relationship between US and India is at the moment, and of course the recent bonhomie with President Putin, Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi. What do you see from all of this in geopolitics today?
Well, thanks for having me on. It's great to be here. George Washington, the first American president, warned Americans against permanent alliances in the world. He did not warn Americans against having any friends anywhere. And it seems to me, in answer to your question, that President Donald Trump has taken that advice, turned it on its head, and decided that the best thing for American foreign policy is that other countries form permanent alliances arrayed against the United States. That's very strange, and we saw President Trump just today complaining on his Truth Social platform, the Twitter ripoff, that he was afraid that the Chinese, North Koreans and Russians were conspiring against the United States. That might be the case, but I think there's still time to the point for India not to conspire against the United States. I don't think that's how India behaves anyway. It's not how it conducts itself. And so my hope is that if the Indians give us about 400 days until the midterms, we might be able to turn this problem around. Meanwhile, however, I do understand that the United States has insulted India, and we'll have to discuss that.
But do you think the way right now America is behaving with India, will India be ever able to trust the strategic ties between the two countries, number one? And number two, you said Trump must apologize to India. Do you think his ego would ever allow him to do that?
The day that Donald Trump apologizes for anything, I'll come back on your show and eat my hat, which is an old English expression. He won't apologize, no. What I meant by that was that maybe George Washington was wrong. Maybe in the 21st century, the United States does need permanent alliances, does need people on its side if it does want to compete. We have Japan, I think. We have the EU and the UK. For the life of me, I don't understand why we're not full court going after India. We should have Modi on the red carpet out here in Alaska, not Putin. And this is something that, for someone who's, like me, I can see you've read a lot of history, I've read a lot of history. It makes no sense because it's what the Americans call a no-brainer. If you want to compete with China, you have to get India on side, period.
But has Trump managed to do the exact opposite, put India and pushed India closer to Russia and China? Would you read anything into the body language of the meetings that were held in Tianjin just 48 hours ago?
Well, I'm not a body language expert. I mean, there are people that do that stuff, people that do lip reading. It looks friendly, but you never know if this stuff is theater, right? You never know if their aides have been texting each other for weeks on the exact form that the hug will take or not, if it's spontaneous. Putin has good reason to be happy with North Korea because North Korea is sending troops to Europe. And of course, President Xi Jinping has good reason to be happy with both Putin and Un because they are effectively his allies, if not his vassals. But in terms of body language, I mean, look, Trump slapped Putin on the hands. Putin cuddled with his counterparts. It's a lot of theater, I think.
India, where does India stand on this? How do you think Prime Minister Modi is handling the situation?
Well, Prime Minister Modi, I think, is being smart right now because he did go and talk to Putin and Xi, and that was a message to the United States. But then he didn't go to the military parade, which was a message to China and Russia. And my interpretation of that is that India and Modi are reminding all of the other great powers, look, we're up and coming, we're clipping at your heels, we're going to be the third largest economy in the world, and we're going to be a superpower effectively, just give us a bit of time, and don't forget that we go our own way. So I don't think that, Modi's not a perfect leader, nobody is, but I think of all of them, he's played this with the most agility, and he's played this in a way that reminds both the US and China and Russia that India will make its own policy in its own time.
Well, so what if Modi doesn't have too many fans in the opposition? Well, the Americans are lauding Modi. M.K. Stalin, would you want to hear that interview? Well, thank you very much, Edward Price, for that interview.